Hello, friends. And there is a cat butt immediately in my face at the beginning of stream. How is everybody? Welcome back to Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly with me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308, and we are here with Cat, the ASOC Prod, and the Peanut Gallery. My brain stopped working there for a moment.
It actually works on occasion?
No.
It jolted and came to momentary activity, and that's what stalled him.
Exactly. Today's pre-rolls are brought to you by The Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, Virginia, on the Downtown Mall, 105 West Main Street, above the Brick, Suite 200. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. A bud, the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. Also, they have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personally highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my biased research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville.com. All one word. A note of disclosure, we are an opinionated group of people. Often on Saturdays and Sundays and Tuesdays, we discuss political stuff. We have opinions. Those opinions are not necessarily shared by any of our sponsors, including the Hidden Leaf, the Kush Gang, purveyors of delicious edibles and drinkables, and Firehouse Craft Farms. They are all businesses. They have their own perspectives. They do not necessarily share ours. I believe that's the ad read. And I believe we're in it.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me light this and let's get started with this chaos. Now, I did not have anything particularly in mind today to do. Because, honestly, I'd been concentrating on the TS 1308 DJ channel and getting that to affiliate. But we've hit affiliate there, so yay for that. But now I sort of haven't really been considering what we were going to do this week. Quick hello to Chris into 386. Hi, Chris. Thanks for hanging out and larking. Much love, much love. One of our most loyal viewers, Chris in the 386. Just, it just really kind of occurred to me that he's been here on almost every stream every time. Just wanted to appreciate him for that. So, thank you. Thank you very much, Chris, into 386 for doing that. So, now, we do have a few things here in the chat to look at. And where we left off last week was that there was a suburban truck that exploded in Chicago. We're gonna go ahead and watch this footage real quick on YouTube. First off, let's switch over to that. There we go. Turn on the audio so we can hear it. Yes. All right. So far, all is going well. Oh, let's also do this, though. before we do that...
Share screen?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes.
Bring. There 'tis, there 'tis. All right, now I can do the other thing. All right. That did not do what I wanted it to.
I mean, it looks like it did. Well, not entirely.
Right. Hold on. Let me fix this.
Okay, you fix this.
Now I
There you
fixed
go.
it.
There we go.
There we go. All right, now...
AI
Everybody
mode is
hear
the
it?
biggest revolution since the search engine was invented.
You tell Gemini exactly what you want built, and it builds it for you.
This is just like mind-blowing.
Well, fortunately, no one was hurt, and the driver of that truck was able to escape serious injury after a leaking propane tank in the back of his truck exploded. Again, no one was seriously hurt, including... Well, fortunately, no one was hurt, and the driver of that truck was able to escape serious injury after a leaking propane tank in the back of his truck exploded. Again, no one was seriously hurt, including the driver. A home security camera captures the blast heard around this west suburban neighborhood after a truck carrying a propane tank exploded. It happened in Addison near Wooddale Road and Lake Street around 8:45 in the morning. That's when investigators say they believe a propane tank being carried in the truck was leaking before it exploded. With little fire, just a real immense force damaging several homes in the area. Authorities say the vehicle belongs to a truck rental company, Penske, which has a strict policy in their rental agreement against transporting anything flammable, explosive, or hazardous. A spokesperson confirms to ABC7 the truck was rented by a customer to move household and personal items.
I thought, wow, they're starting early with the fireworks this year, but that one sure seemed to have a little extra punch.
Driver, he was transported with non-life-threatening injuries to a local hospital, but otherwise he was walking next to the truck when the crews pulled up.
Wow.
Now the truck company is cooperating fully with the investigation. The police are calling the explosion accidental as the cleanup continues.
So what the heck was the thing that ignited it?
Good question.
Um,
Although,
well, now, okay, so if it's a tank of propane, it doesn't need a whole lot of heat to ignite if it's leaking.
isn't propane heavy?
Propane is heavier than air.
Yes.
You can be welding 15 feet away from propane without worry of it igniting.
So my thought would be perhaps there was some sort of spark with the taillights.
Ooh, yes, an electrical, some sort of
That would be-
electrical. That would do it.
That would be my guess, because it would sink down and it would be in that area, or maybe the exhaust was over hot.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that's the other thing is exhaust gets the exhaust pipe gets hot enough to ignite oil. So I imagine it's hot enough to ignite propane. And the propane leaking out of the tank seeps down through the floorboards, hits the hot exhaust, and ignites. There could also have been something dragging on the ground, a spark dragging from something dragging on the ground that kicked up. Although I didn't
quite honestly,
see anything. I think
you've got a whole bunch of household furniture stuff too. Or various household and personal items was what was described. So one of the things that could very easily have been in there was the grill itself.
I
Most
mean,
people that
it
most
could have
people in a
been.
suburban environment that have a propane tank have a grill. Most grills that use gas now have push button igniters. So all it would have taken was
Something jostling
something
it.
something falling on the button.
Yeah. Especially because those push button starts are piezoelectric. Piezo electric. They're pressure on a quartz to create an electrical charge that goes through, and you get the spark out of the.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean there are any number of ways it could have ignited, and that's the thing about a leaky propane tank, is that they can very easily ignite. This brings up there's, I don't know if it's an urban myth so much as it happened. So it's not a myth. It's just, I've got third or fourth hand info about it.
Mm-hmm.
In Gordonsville, there was a French restaurant called Pomme. Pomme. Pomme.
Right.
Means apple.
Right.
And the chef, pardon me, I think it was the chef / one of the owners, was driving home, I think, from Charlottesville to Gordonsville, I think. Or maybe it was the other direction, from Gordonsville to Charlottesville. Driving with a propane cylinder in his car. Apparently it was leaky and he was smoking a cigarette.
Oh.
Yes. It was quick. I think the assumption is it was a quick death.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, so yeah, that's just a general, something to be aware of. Don't travel with a leaky propane cylinder. Propane cylinders are incredibly dangerous. Flammable gas cylinders are dangerous. Be careful when transporting anything flammable. Period. I think that's the moral here.
Just because it is something that you use every day or for recreational time does not mean you should treat it with a lack of respect or negligence.
Everything is dangerous. Anything can catch fire. Give me a 9-volt, a paperclip, and a couple of gator clips, and I will show you what I mean.
We need Lockpick to show up on that one.
That is almost like a call out to him, but I doubt it. He and Rosto were up pretty late last night drinking, DJing.
But as far as propane tanks go, this is why they print expiration dates on the canister.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't ignite that easily, though.
The fuel itself doesn't. But when you've got it mixed with enough oxygen,
And think about the speed that the truck is moving. Any moving vehicle, right, is creating fluid dynamics that's pulling air into it. It's any moving vehicle creates a low pressure environment inside the cab. So air, oxygen, flammable fuel is getting pulled into that and then mixing with, not just the cab, but any part of the vehicle. As it's moving, it's essentially creating low pressure, pulling air to, and mixing with. And if anything in there is unstable, it's mixing that fuel air with that unstable gas, giving you the oxygen needed. And honestly, you don't need a lot of oxygen and unstable material to create a spark.
well, you don't need a lot, but you do need the right mixture depending on what you're working with. Because I remember
Well,
Mythbusters having the same thought and them overdoing their box, and they just didn't have the right mixture so it wouldn't ignite.
Okay, fair.
The ignition point of propane, the ignition, not the burn point, but for it to first start burning,
Okay.
requires it to be 500 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
So, unless there is external material on a overheating muffler, it's not getting up to that point.
True, but the spark in your propane grill doesn't get up to 500 degrees either.
It does in that very, very small specific point.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're back to if you've got a short in your taillight, that's a similar spark. Which
I'd also like to point out that the way that a flint and steel work, the way the flint ignites when you rub steel across it, is you are pulling small molecules off of it. Those molecules are so small that they can interact with the air and they oxidize in that moment with that exothermic reaction. Yeah, exothermic. Or is it
Endothermic would be getting cold.
Yeah, exothermic oxidization. Now, it doesn't take much for the let's see if I can describe this. The molecule doesn't have to be very small for that to start happening. So, if you're mixing oxygen if you're sucking oxygen into a flammable gas and adding a pressure differential, you are essentially adding energy, adding heat, getting closer to that, bringing the system closer to that ignition point of its excitement. Now,
I have no problem with the fact that propane is explosive, meaning it takes a lot more to ignite it than the
Right.
energy that is released when it does so.
What you're saying is you don't think that it was just the normal operations of the truck that made it explode. I mean, the normal operations of the truck and leaky gas tank that made it explode. What you're saying is that there was a third factor involved, you think?
I mean, it is possible that if they were transporting the grill and if it was faulty, then that could have ignited it, but that would also require the propane tank to be more than just a little bit leaky.
I think we are going with it was more than just a little bit leaky.
We also don't know how many were actually in the truck.
We are going with one. For that size explosion, that was one small propane canister.
But the comical thing is, you can take a filled propane canister,
Mm-hmm.
shoot it with a rifle or pistol powerful enough to puncture the canister, and it will explode due to pressure but not catch fire.
Yes. Yes. Unless there is a spark generated somewhere in there. There are different types of explosions. I think that's that's an important distinction. There are different types of explosions. Not all explosions are. I just wiped off some of my makeup, didn't I? No? Okay. Not all explosions are fireballs. Some explosions are purely pressure wave explosions.
Fair enough, but the general moviegoer has come to expect that if you have a flammable thing involved, that you will see some sort of fire.
Yes.
You can cook with C4, and that's not good.
Again, I really do like the Mythbusters. I have been in a couple of different question and answer based Reddit forums this week, and a couple of science based ones. And the number of times that someone has asked a question, and reading through the comments, you could tell the general age of the person answering.
Mm.
Because you would have the general, I don't know, and it just the response itself was typed out and sounded very young. And then you'd hit one and be like, there'd be a reasoned thing, because I do this, and then they would end with, oh, and by the way, Mythbusters did this, go find this episode. Like, okay.
Alright. Mythbusters did it. Mythbusters did it.
It was, and then generally it's not a case of Mythbusters did it, yeah, it was a case of, I can tell you, but if you want a good explanation, here's a video you can go watch that gives you your good explanation.
That's fair. That is fair.
Back when Discovery actually did Discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
But definitely the number of times that Mythbusters has shown up this week as a reference point for things has been kind of entertaining for me. The most recent one was someone took a picture of their local gas pump, and they asked, like, haven't this already been proved that your phone isn't a thing with this? And they're like, yeah, they proved it. You've got this study, you've got this study, you've got this study, and they've listed these studies, and then there's like 5 of us at the bottom of the comments going, yeah, and this.
And Mythbusters.
But hey, at least they started putting the static stickers on the gas pumps a couple years after that episode came out.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't take cell phones off the gas pump, but they put static on. Which, again, we were just talking about an overabundance and caution with basically your fire triangle, and so I can, like, we don't know, someone might have a stupid phone that does taser. We might want to keep that in the car. I'm sure someone's got a phone that turns into a taser out there somewhere.
I'm pretty sure there are taser phone cases. I could just see someone being
Taser phone!
So stupid that they got the taser phone up to their ear and they're talking and they accidentally tase it.
Tase themselves in the
gas.
brain. It just seems like a very, I hate to say it, but very American thing. A taser phone. Very American. Either that or James Bond. And really what you have to realize is that even though James Bond is British, he's an American wet dream.
Very much so.
Very much so. All right.
I thought Sean Connery was Universal.
I really don't know what studio did those. I want to say it's
About the wet
Paramount.
dream, not the studio.
Huh?
I was talking about him being a wet dream, not the studio.
Oh. Yeah, because I thought that those were Paramount movies, not Universal.
Either way, moving on.
Oh, look, there's some Marjorie Taylor Greene something.
Yes.
Oh, look! Marjorie Taylor Greene is angry at Elon Musk's AI bot.
Yes.
Let's look at this infighting.
Oh no! It's smarter than me! How dare you!
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm a Christian, an imperfect sinner saved by grace and faith in Jesus, etc., etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true? Is she really a Christian? And Grock
Oh, no, well...
And Grock says, Marjorie Taylor Greene identifies as a Christian, expressing faith in Jesus and traditional beliefs like her 2001 Christmas message. However, her Christian nationalism and support for conspiracy theories like QAnon spark debate. Critics, including religious leaders, argue her actions contradict Christian values of love and unity, citing her defense of January 6th and divisive rhetoric. Supporters may see her stances as faith-driven. Whether she's really a Christian is subjective, depending on personal and theological views. Her faith appears genuine to her, but public actions create controversy. Wow, Grock.
Oh, it gets better.
Grock's handler. Hey, Grock. While Marjorie Taylor Greene claims to be a Christian, do her public comments and voting record align with Jesus' teachings? Yes or no answer. Grock, no. Marjorie Taylor Greene, at Grock. The judgment seat belongs to God, not you, a non-human AI algorithm. Grock is left-leaning and continues to spread fake news and propaganda. When people give their discernment, give up their discernment, stop seeking truth, and depend on AI to analyze information, they will be lost.
Okay.
Oh,
One response to that statement. The judgment seat is reserved for God. Then why the fuck do you try to take it for yourself?
right?
Thank you.
Right.
There's the F-bomb. Sorry.
Oh, no, you guys, again, you guys don't need to worry about that. I'm the one who is pretending to be PG-13.
Yes. He's got the counter, not us.
I am the one who is, yeah. I'm the poser here, not you guys. I mean, let's take a moment to be real on Front Street about this personality that is here on this show. You know, this personality is an amusingly clean-cut version of the real Trevor. And tries to stay PG-13 to be... I don't even know why. Like, no one really knows why I'm doing this. It is a commitment to a bit that I forgot the punchline to a long time ago.
Why don't we ask Grock?
Let's not. No, we're not involving Grock in this debate.
Let us not. No, yeah.
That was not meant as a serious statement in the slide. just to make sure people do not mistake that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just... At this point, this is unwavering commitment to a bit. Seeing how long I can do it.
It is, but there's also, in the past, you've stated that part of the reason you started the bit was because you wanted to be able to know people could come watch your stuff. And that it was okay if their kids were walking through.
I mean, yeah, it's sort of... I'm sort of there with that. Like, I kind of like that. Especially especially the stand-up. Well, not the stand-up. Especially the one-liner jokes. Like, those I want those to remain relatively very kid-friendly. So that, you know, yeah, you could be listening to a series of the one-liners and your kid could walk through and you're safe. You're fine. You're safe. And a lot of the stuff going up on YouTube, I do want to keep it as close to family-friendly as possible. A whole lot of cursing, and I might have to click that restricted button. But
Exactly.
as it is, I just click the not for kids button and let it decide.
Yep.
But that's not... That's sort of a benefit of this. This goes back further than that. This goes back to when I used to do stand-up. And I wanted to be... I wanted to... Not for any real reason. I just wanted to be the guy who didn't curse on stage. I, I wanted to be the guy who didn't work blue. And in so I want the most restricting thing to be my underwear. Very funny. It is it is said that in comedy circles, once you stop working blue, you can't go back. Or once you start working blue, you can't go back. Once you start cursing, you can't all of a sudden go back to being a clean comic.
Working blue?
Cursing a blue streak.
Ah, okay. I was wondering where the connection between working blue and
Blue, I think, is also. I think blue refers specifically to adult material, adult viewing material. You
I
know,
would kind of.
it usually implies sexuality.
Which is what cussing.
But
Most cuss words that we hold taboo and should not be said in front of children or mixed company or wherever your line is. That's kind of what that revolves around.
right.
shit you say.
Yes.
But there are various things that go into what makes for. but the blue. Blue movies, blue cinema clubs were it was a euphemism for those movie theaters where all the guys sit with their brown raincoats over their knees.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no room, and that. How do you know what it looks like in there? My doctor sent me there for therapy. Did it work? That's none of your business. I'm sorry. That's a bit from Are You Being Served?
Mm.
It's in the first episode. And I've just seen it so many times that it's stuck in my head, that whole bit. It's yeah. So that is what blue means there. Generally sexual, but also could be drug or violence related.
So you're saying there was a lot of coding in Elvis?
What?
So you're saying there was a lot of subtle coding
In what?
Is this actually not being able to hear, or is this?
This is actually not being able to hear.
Okay, and I will repeat one more time. So you are saying there was a lot of coding in Elvis's blue suede shoes.
I'm just saying, man. Elvis was a sex symbol. Y'all just watched me realize something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That the blue and blue suede shoes could have been...
Something else?
Yeah.
Other than just the color?
Yeah.
I'm going to hop back to what you said a moment ago, that if you are a clean comedian and you start working as a blue comedian, you can't go back.
Right. And
But
I
it
mean,
doesn't work. It doesn't work the other way. You can have started off as a blue comedian and gone clean, and you're fine as long as you stay clean.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that a lot.
You can also, it isn't true. You can go back. You can go back to being clean.
Bob Saget.
I did it. I'm doing it.
Well, yes, you are doing it, but
Bob Saget.
yeah.
I don't know that he started clean.
No,
he
may not have.
started blue and cleaned up his image and then went back to blue.
Well, no, he hopped back and forth because, from what I remember, the entire time he was doing Full House and doing the Mr. Dad thing and being Mr. Clean on TV, he was still doing his regular comedy show.
Right. But
So he was hopping back and forth across that line effectively.
But his stand-up comedy show came first.
Yes.
Before any of his clean career.
Right.
So it wasn't
versus Eddie Murphy,
who used to work clean, then went dirty, and kind of never really went back.
Well, he was dirty to start with.
Yeah.
Gumby was not a clean skit.
Who was it? I think Richard Pryor is the one who started clean and went dirty.
Probably.
Yeah, he burned too many bridges there.
Crack is a hell of a drug.
Oh.
Sorry.
So it's kind of a truism, but it's one of those ones where it's only true as long as you have a certain social structure that is in place. And once that social structure changes, then the permeability of that particular wall changes.
Yes. Also, though, I think I think that there are also no real hard and fast rules in comedy. And so you can kind of step around things like that. If you have to. Which is why it's sort of like I acknowledge that I'm gonna drop an F-bomb every now and again.
Yes.
The intention is there, though. And I think that... yeah. Yes. By the way, Peanut Gallery and Cat... in the chat, Peanut Gallery said, so don't step on my blue suede shoes was him saying, don't yuck my yum. And Kat said, you may have something there. And that is exactly what I heard that to mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was told that song meant. Was don't keep me from enjoying my thing, man. No hard and fast rules in comedy. So, you know, the fact that because in my stand-up career, I started clean, and then I broke.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke on stage and started cursing. Poor Winston Hodges, who was the host that night. He thought I was having a mental and emotional breakdown. I was blackout drunk.
Oh,
Yeah, well, I was blackout drunk, but I was following my script.
right.
I'd memorized the script.
So it was there.
I'd memorized the script to the point where knocking the script off stage was part of the bit. And it was all written down, all the blocking, like almost every step I took was written down in blocking in the script. And I walked, because my memory is not reliable. It's really, I wouldn't be good for a TV show because, or at least a fast moving TV show, because it takes me a long time to learn my lines and my blocking. I have memory is just not solid, and that's unfortunate. But it does lead me to really good improv.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to, when I did stand up, I had to carry my script onto stage with me just to remember what came next. Now I would have it because I was writing new jokes and performing a whole new set every 2 weeks. New set every 2 weeks. So I didn't have time to memorize, everything.
Right.
And so I would carry my script on stage with me and keep it on stage. And it affected my stand-up because I paused in funny places. I paused in places where if there was a laugh track, the laugh would be inserted, but I paused because I had to check the script or think about what came next. Because as a writer, I write in that cadence.
Okay.
Which really is not great for a middling stand-up comedian. Like, if your jokes are only middling good and you're not getting a laugh at every pause, the pauses are just irritating.
Mm-hmm.
Self-aggrandizing, even. But for me, it was remembering. It was trying to remember. So
So you walking out on stage without your script absolutely
no,
bothered him.
I walked out on stage with my script.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I walked out on stage with my script. I put the script on the stool like I usually did, and I don't remember what happened because I was blackout drunk. All I remember is it started out funny but uncomfortable for the audience. Like, everything I said was funny, but they were checking themselves to see if they were okay to be laughing about it. And then I hit the crucial point, and I smacked the stool with my script off stage. And I said, F you all. How you like me now? How you
Ooh.
like me now? And then went on a blue tirade. Just a complete blue tirade of hilariousness. Like, because when I did that, the Winston Hodges, the host, was like, when I did the smack the stool off stage with the script, how you like me now, he was tempted to come get me and be like, oh my God, he needs to get off stage now. But it set off this roll of jokes that I just had absolutely down and was ready to nail the audience with. And it was one of the funniest things I'd ever done. And it played on the juxtaposition of a formerly very clean comic having to go dirty to get a laugh in Charlottesville.
Oof.
It was probably a loose 8-minute set. It might have been a tight 5, I don't remember. About how in Charlottesville I couldn't buy a freaking laugh. I couldn't pay for it. So most times there is a moment of silence in remembrance, but in your case it is a moment of silence for remembrance. Yes. Also, people think that I'm lying a lot because I look up here. I'm not lying. That is my memosphere. The memosphere is the atmosphere in which my memories live. And that's me looking for them. As an actor, you're taught not to look into the memosphere for your lines. You're taught to know your lines so well that you don't have to look into the memosphere for them.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately, for being a great actor, I have a terrible memory.
This is what teleprompters are for.
It is. But you have to get to that point first. It was all, this has been sort of the story of my life. I always get to the point of being, I would have been great at something, but for this basic thing that I just can't, for whatever. Oh, hey, just me, Crystal. For whatever reason, I just can't overcome this one basic part of it. I'd have been a great mathematician, except there is something in algebra, there is some distributive thing that I could never get right. Some order of operations distribution between the commas, or between the parentheses, thank you, that I can't remember. There is a specific piece of information that is just not there. That, if I could do it, would unlock my ability to do math. And I would be able to do all the big math that I need to do the math to not be a very amateur physicist and an even more amateur mathematician.
So what I'm hearing is I would be an excellent mathematician if only I could do math.
Not quite that level, but close.
I know,
Yeah.
but still.
I can do all the math except the one math thing. That one math thing that is not that important, but it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
You have trouble with the operation of orders.
Right. I would be a really great musician.
Isn't that usually an ADHD problem anyway?
Except I can't nail down time and pitch. I can't make them sit still. I can't get my timing to line up completely. Like, I just don't. There's a basic rhythm that I don't have and never will. There's also.
For music, I'm going to say it's a case of you have your own specific timing and rhythm, and you are not able to line up with it. Because Willie Nelson is like that.
I think that is very generous. I think it's dyslexia. I think it's dyslexia that keeps me from being able to line up with the beat and the pitch.
You have a different drummer, and your drummer is just too loud to help you go with anybody.
Exactly.
There is a lack of fine motor control. That same lack of fine motor control keeps me from being able to represent physically the things in my mind that I see. I've gotten to where I can come close to being able to draw and paint my ideas, but I can't really, because the fine motor control just isn't there. But I'm expressing myself, so it doesn't really matter as long as I get the message out there. As long as I get the feelings out onto the page, it doesn't matter if I have the fine motor control to make it perfect. You know, the same with the music. You know, I have a lot of technical stuff to help me get the emotions out of the meat sack and into musical order. Writing was the first thing to be able to do that, because there's so much that you can do with writing. So it's so mutable, it's so changeable, it's almost like clay, except for even more ephemeral.
Especially if you're taking a written thing and turning it into a spoken thing, and that's all there ever is of it.
Right. Why is stuff beeping in my head? Anyway.
Because the gerbil that was running forward has now started running backwards. That's why it's beeping.
Right.
The thought process that you just sent me on with writing being ephemeral, I just thought of the perfect epitaph for Tombstone.
What's that?
Oh, no.
Nothing's ever written in stone.
I brought my whacking stick so I can beat
want
him easier
that
today.
on my tombstone. Dang it. Now
Right next to the pepperoni?
I need it.
That's right next to the pepperoni.
Ah. Yeah, on my tombstone, in quotations, don't worry. It's not your fate's not written in stone. Dash, some idiot.
With a cell phone.
Some idiot with a cell phone. I really like that.
Drink a lot.
Especially because we're fairly certain that I'm actually immortal and I won't actually have a tombstone.
Well, I mean, you could have one. You don't need to be under it.
True. You know what? I might just do that. I might just get a big stone and carve my own tombstone.
You can. That being said, shall we get back to the picture on the screen now that we have diverged a great deal?
Hold on. I want to walk down this path of thought just a little ways.
Okay. Okay.
I believe I am going to do this. I'm going to get a chunk of stone. I'm going to find a large rock and I'm going to start carving it down to be my headstone. So that even if I don't die, there's a headstone for me somewhere.
You've read the Dresden Files, haven't you?
Read? No. Watched? Yes.
Okay.
Big difference between the two? Yes. It
I
is more
haven't
than
watched-
just the color of the cop's hair. That is more than...
I haven't watched the series. I haven't watched the TV. In the series that you watched, do they talk about Harry's tombstone from Bianca?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
In the books.
Harry Dresden, for those who don't know, Harry Dresden is a wizard.
In Chicago.
In Chicago. Modern times.
Mm-hmm.
He is... Their description of magic is very, very good. It's pretty close to real. You know, it is a good... And this is from having watched it, by the way, not read. So...
Red is a lot closer.
Yeah, right, exactly. So... Yeah. Good series to read. I recommend reading it. I also recommend watching it. Not from how it's described to me, it's, you know, reading it, watching it is really just sort of a companion fluff piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you watch it because you think that Harry Blackthorne is sexy. And he is. I completely have a crush on that actor.
I don't blame you.
He is also British. So that's not his real accent.
Mm-mm.
Which is somehow even sexier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's very good.
It is. It's written by Jim Butcher.
Jim Butcher. Thank you. Thank you. There's that name.
In this show, do you guys ever meet Bianca?
That I recall, there's only one season of it.
Yeah, I believe you might, though.
Do you ever meet any of the Red Court vampires?
I believe you might.
Okay. Through various things that happen, which result in the beginning of everything's on fire but my fault, which Harry says a lot throughout the series of books.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he's actually telling the truth, sometimes he's just trying not to get hit with...
Yes.
He
is, he kind of has a martyr complex, I've noticed.
Oh, he does. Well, in the very beginning, he does, and it feels very undeserved. And as the series progresses, he shakes that, and he learns that he's got issues, but he doesn't have issues like everybody else, and he kind of wises up. He still has a little bit of that going on, but it's not. It's nowhere like it was in the first couple.
Okay. Today's pre-rolls brought to you by the Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, Virginia, 105 West Main Street, above the Brick, Suite 200, between the Green Cauldron and Hamilton's. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. A bud, and the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. Also, they have the lowest prices in town, according to my own highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my biased research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville, all one word, .com.
Check your messages.
Oh, God.
Oh, crap. Oh, crap.
Honestly, it's more the way you said it that makes me go... Apparently,
so
whatever
the most emotive language to write in has to be Braille. It's all about how it makes you feel the message.
Yeah, that is entirely true. Braille is about how it makes you feel the message.
Feel like sounding it out in Braille.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. I thought of that one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just didn't want to interrupt the tangent you were on.
Too late. We're done now. Back to the screen.
If you translate that joke into ASL, then it's hand-delivered.
I see what you did there.
I can't hear you. I'm not wearing my glasses.
I have retrieved my beating stick. I will beat him again later.
So, there's a picture up on the screen that I can't see.
Yep. You need to put your glasses back on so you can hear again.
Right. Oddly enough, I still can't see it. You know what? We're gonna... So, City of Alexandria statement on the Trump administration listing Alexandria as a sanctuary city.
All right, so before we read this,
Hello.
earlier this week, like Thursday or Friday, earlier this week, the administration released a listing of cities and counties in every state. And it's up on the Department of Homeland Security website. Identifying jurisdictions deemed non-compliant with federal immigration law and saying that each will receive formal notice from the federal government and could face legal action or loss of federal funding under directives set forth in a recent executive order.
Is Charlottesville on the list?
Yes.
Okay.
Charlottesville is on the list. Albemarle County is a...
Okay.
But
I was going to be
this came
really... Oh, hey, is Ithaca on the list? Ithaca, New York?
I can look. Hang on. Ithaca. Spell.
Ithaca.
Hang on.
What do you get when you take all the vowels out of Ithaca?
I don't know.
THC.
Oh, okay. What county is Ithaca in?
Tompkins.
All right, so Tompkins County is listed, and Ithaca specifically as a city is listed.
All right. All right. Do I have any other places that I need to check? You know, I'm proud of my I-Town people.
All right, so
I-Town
this
represent.
list yep.
It's... Yeah, I don't think I shout them out enough. I don't think I let I-Town know enough that I still love them. You know?
It gets mentioned, but not as frequently as
How much
you love Lockpick.
How much I love Lockpick. Or how much I hate Charlottesville.
That's true. On that note, the list is released. This is City of Alexandria. That's their immediate response to this.
This is a official Alexandria City letterhead.
Mm-hmm.
So this is their official mayoral response. We're a community guided by compassion, the rule of law, and our unwavering commitment to the well-being and safety of all our residents. There is no universally agreed upon legal definition of a sanctuary city. Tonight's action by the federal government wrongly targets and mischaracterizes Alexandria and dismisses core principles that make up the foundation of our democracy. Here in Alexandria, we govern by facts and our values. The City of Alexandria is committed to upholding the constitutional and civil rights of all people, regardless of their immigration status. Alexandria is, and always will be, a welcoming city. We are proud of our diversity, and we are stronger because of it. Signed, somebody or another.
The mayor's name is in the upper left, therefore.
I can't. My eyes aren't good enough.
It's like... Oh, hang on.
Alia
Gaskins.
Alia Gaskins.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Okay.
Now, so that was their response. Now, this is...
This is the County of Albemarle's response.
Albemarle County has not received any official notification from federal authorities regarding our inclusion on the Department of Homeland Security's list of sanctuary jurisdictions. We are aware of the release of this list and have contracted our federal partners for clarification. At this time, we have not received any clear direction or additional information from them. The enforcement of federal immigration law is the responsibility of the federal government, and Albemarle County complies with those laws. As with other federal actions, we will continue to monitor the situation and respond appropriately should we receive formal notice. That sounds as, generally yellow-bellied and lily-livered as I expect from Albemarle.
Yep. I have not seen...
That sounds like they're like, dude, just ask. We'll give you. Just come and ask. We'll turn them in. Of course, Albemarle doesn't have the same... Albemarle County doesn't have the same progressiveness as the city of Charlottesville. This is, I think, an important distinction to be made. While the city of Charlottesville is very blue, Albemarle County isn't. And the counties around aren't. It's very, we are, even the progressives out in the, progressives, even the liberals out in Albemarle County aren't liberals, they're neoliberals.
You read that statement as yellow-bellied and
willing to turn. Yeah.
And I can see that. I also see, oh really? Put it in writing. Make it official. Then come at us.
Yeah, there is a bit of that. I mean, it is... What I see is Albemarle County sort of sitting on the fence, being like, nah, one of y'all make a decision for me. Like, we're just here, we don't know what's going on. Somebody say something, we'll do it.
Well,
which is, to me, sort of a lack of spine. Unlike the response from Alexandria, which was very coded language, not coded, very oblique language. They were overtly saying, from what I read, they were not overtly, they were covertly saying, yeah, we are a sanctuary city, but because that's not a legal definition, step off. And we will continue to be a sanctuary city. Whereas what I read from Albemarle was, that's not a legal definition. We don't know what you're trying to say. Please stop being confusing. We'll comply, just clarify.
Well, I like to look at it as more of a case of, because I said so isn't a good enough reason. Until you actually put it in writing, we're not taking because I said so.
That is a more generous reading than I gave it, but I think also a valid reading. I think that's a valid reading. of it.
Yes, they are hedging their bets.
Oh God, of course they
It
are.
It is not a straight up FU in any manner of reading.
Not
But
like
it
the
is
one
still a
from
case of
the one from Alexandria really felt like a middle finger. It felt like they put on all the golden rings on their hand just to give him the middle finger. Like that felt it felt like a Baroque middle finger. It felt like an Elizabethan attempt at saying, fornicate thee off with thine self.
so they shoved that middle finger somewhere and broke it off.
Hey!
I'm going to note, so far I have not found anything from the city of Charlottesville,
Yeah.
and that on the list for Virginia were a lot of counties.
I'm
Like-
sure, because we're a pretty. There are a lot of counties that are actually, when it comes to that, pretty progressive. Like, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of construction companies around here who would lose a lot of their workers. There are also a
orchards.
lot of kitchens that would lose a lot of their workers.
Surprisingly, one of the cities on the Virginia list was Lynchburg.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no. I'm not surprised. I do feel like
Are you okay?
it's been being kept quiet, but I feel like there's been some fallout between Trump and the Falwells.
Wouldn't surprise me.
There's been some falling out there. Like, I'm really surprised that we don't. I'm not really surprised. I would have thought that we would have seen is it Jerry Falwell Jr.? Is he the guy in charge now, or is it whatever?
I'd have to look again.
His brother is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
I feel like we would have seen them cozying up to Trump. Or we should have seen them cozying up to Trump. Like, Jerry Falwell Jr. should have been where J.D. Vance is now. And there's something there. I don't know what happened, like what the fallout was, but there's some. So it doesn't surprise me that Lynchburg is on the list. Like, I think that low-key Liberty is on the outs. Liberty University. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Liberty University is on the outs, low-key.
Yeah, there's nothing low key about the other one.
Right. I think that. So that's, yeah. But that is just an instinct. That's just a gut instinct here. I have no proof of that. So
It would not surprise me.
yeah.
It would not surprise me. Anyway.
On to the next item.
Yep.
Humans give off light that is extinguished in death, study reveals.
Yep.
While auras may come from the realm of pseudoscience, all living beings do emit a faint light, invisible to the human eye, one that is extinguished upon death. This is the conclusion of a team of researchers from the University of Calgary, Canada, who used a special camera to study ultra-weak photon emissions in mice, UPE. UPE is closely linked to vitality, explained physicist Vahid Salari and colleagues in their paper published in the Journal of Physical Chemistry Letters. The study of UPE has fundamental importance for basic research, as it can be used for non-invasive insights into biochemical and metabolic processes of living organisms. UPE has been detected coming from a multitude of life forms, all the way up from single-celled organisms to plants, animals, and even us humans. Unlike bioluminescence, as seen in creatures like fireflies and glowworms, which releases high-intensity visible light, UPE results in extremely low-intensity light our eyes cannot see. It is also separate to the black body radiation emitted as a result of temperature. According to researchers, at the heart of UPE is the production of so-called reactive oxygen species, or ORS for short. These, as their name might suggest, are highly reactive oxygen-containing molecules that result as a byproduct of the chemical reactions that sustain all living things. ROS plays a role as signaling molecules in the cellular response to stress. If too many of these molecules are produced, however, they can actually cause oxidative stress. Okay. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about how flint ignites. When I pulled out the flint striker and made the sparks a few minutes ago, when we were talking about the explosion, and I was talking about how the if the molecules are small enough, the oxygen makes it ignite. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I was saying. That oxidative stress. ROS oxidative exothermic. That's what I call a callback.
Yep.
Okay, so the rest of this goes on to describe how this happens.
Uh-huh. They had to make special enclosures so that there was no extra light getting in, and special cameras.
And it's different from black body radiation.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It's different from that.
It's very interesting.
And I thought it'd be a nice kind of break from, the more horrifying political news.
Right. That is really interesting. I mean, it's the kind of thing that, like, I'm not surprised to find out. I, however, up to this point, would have attributed it to black body radiation?
For me, it's more a case of I'm not surprised that this exists. I'm surprised they finally figured out how to test for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm yeah. That is a neat discovery.
It is.
Um
And it makes me think that as they keep working with this chain of testing, this chain of thought, they may actually get around to auras and such, and they may be able to say, oh, this isn't the pseudoscience we thought.
mm, mm, I have an open mind. Let's just put it that way. I have an open mind. I would love for science to prove magic. I'd love for the things I think I see to be like, yeah, no, that's not just your imagination. Things are real. I'm also okay with my imagination just being my imagination. Especially because, like, alright, let's wade into this. Let's wade into this. This brings up some ethical stuff for me.
Okay.
What is real? What's true? I often point out that I am a very religious person. Very, very religious.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the core tenets of my religiosity is that if something's been disproven, I shouldn't believe it. You know? Like, scientific thinking is a core principle of my religiosity.
Okay.
Taking things on faith is sort of that's my hand wavy moment of going, see, it's okay. Faith is my scrubbing word.
Okay.
So what we're getting into here it feels like it is the beginnings of saying, look, there is a soul. And we get into this mucky realm of what is consciousness? And who am I? And when I start asking, who am I stop. And a whole bunch of people who are currently driving this meat body mech all of a sudden start asking each other what's going on. I feel on the inside as if I am a multiplicity of consciousnesses in one body, trying I this is where faith starts coming in, because I can't. The we in here are very confused by the idea they're very confused by the idea that I'm asking them to look at each other. It's getting very confused in my head right now.
That is fair.
I do believe, I do have faith that that the human is more than just the sum of its parts. I believe that people are more than just the sum of their parts. I believe that souls exist, that living creatures, life requires movement. Movement
Mm-hmm.
requires dynamic differences. There must
Mm-hmm.
be a difference between this area and this area, so there is a dynamic difference, so things move,
Right.
which causes energy. Causes
Right.
energy to move out from there. This,
Because life does not function in a closed system. Closed systems become dead.
well, yes, they equalize. And the universe isn't a closed system.
Exactly.
So it doesn't surprise me that there is a accumulation of all of these movements that
Mm-hmm.
but I would have ascribed that to black body radiation, which it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Black body radiation happens to everything. It is something that it's representative of how much energy is in its encapsulated system and
Mm-hmm.
what frequencies of energy it outputs as it exists in its system.
Right.
And it seems to me that the UPE that they're talking about, that's put out by Life, is the photoelectric effect that is caused by life moving, by the fact that life moves,
Okay.
that there
Yes.
is locomotion. That is one of the things that defines life.
Mm-hmm.
Is replication is what defines life, right?
There is one technicality in what you've said so far.
What's that?
You said that you want to believe that things are bigger than the sum of their parts, that there is a soul.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
I beg to differ on that statement, on the simple assumption that the soul is another one of those parts.
I can live with that. this is that.
It is a part that we have not been able to scientifically or disprove as of yet.
Well, UPE might be an analog.
Might be the first step towards proving the possibility scientifically.
Yeah.
Who's driving
Versus-
your train?
Sorry, what was that?
Who's driving your train? Who's in the driver's seat of your body?
I am. What makes up that I may be a very convoluted collection of parts, but it is I.
Who is that I? What is that convoluted collection of parts?
I am neither a doctor nor a parrot or any specialist in any field to define that other than me.
Okay.
Do you feel that you are a unified collection of parts?
Yes and no.
Yes and no?
Mhm.
In what
I
ways
said,
do you feel unified?
simple processes of senses. They are processed through many different input devices. That function goes towards my brain, which may be piloted by my soul or may be piloted by a collection of such devices. Those are unified. The ways in which I feel less than unified are sometimes my brain, my thought processes are at counterpoints to what my body needs, such as, I really like this food. This food doesn't agree with me. Not so unified, and have a less than positive outcome.
Yes. Me and French twists. The pastry French twists. Okay. Do you feel as if the driver of... Do you feel as if the me that is the driver of your, we'll call it, meat mech suit, do you feel like your me is a unified me?
Not always, but yes.
Okay.
I would liken it more to one of the mechs out of the what is that movie? The horrible movie with the mechs and
Oh, Pacific Rim. Are we talking more
Specific-
Pacific Rim, or are we talking more Voltron?
okay, we'll go Voltron.
Because
Okay.
there's, that way we're saying we're a gestalt with multiple possible pilots that help everything function together.
Yeah. There's usually a main, but there are different
I'll form the head.
there are different pilots arguing for different things at different times. Thus, you'll hear me say the mean part of me, very petty part of me, the part of me that knows I'm going to get in trouble for saying it anyway.
Okay.
Because there is a main bus driver. There's a main mech driver, but it's less like being the only person driving the car, like being the captain of a ship full of 300 soldiers. You've got one person that is technically in charge, but there are so many other parts that are functioning to make that happen. And sometimes the captain is sick and the second officer takes over for a few minutes. And that can be good. And that can come out horrendously, and you end up with chicken that you can't eat because it's been served up with all sorts of spices, and well, the sick captain's the only one that can eat that. Everyone else is just going to have to suffer.
Okay. I can see that.
In other words,
analogy.
you do not eat whatever I cook if I am feeling absolutely. It is made for me to feel better and nobody else.
That's fair. I see that. Analogy.
But
Okay.
just because they may eventually figure out, prove or disprove that there is a specific person piloting the ship, doesn't prove is the
I'm
problem.
sorry. I missed everything. You dropped out after prove or disprove.
The UPE is kind of a way of showing the shape of the hole that's there. It doesn't prove or disprove what fills the hole. Just that
Right.
when it's emitted, there is a hole. And so we have more to learn. And I think one of the things I disagree with in their article specifically is that humans can't see light.
Can't see this light?
I disagree with that.
You think we can? You think that's what people see when they see auras?
I think that that's on the spectrum, but also, especially with creatures, there are times where you can look at a creature and know that it has passed, or a person and know that they have passed.
Ah, the light's gone out of their eyes. The
It's-
vitality.
You can see that it is gone before you even get close enough to touch and use any other scientific way to determine see it. So I think we can see it. We just are now finding a way to describe in a scientifically reproducible manner what it is we've been seeing for centuries.
Interesting.
Which at some point they're going to figure out that this UPE manages to interact with probably some sort of magnetic influence, and that's actually when people are able to see auras.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Which is effectively just an energy reading from a distance.
Yeah.
But given that this light changes based on the person's stress indicators and
Yeah.
stress levels, I would not be surprised if they finally figure out. I don't see it as a way of as endangering spirituality in any way. Because
No, it won't. It can't. Spirituality and religiosity, that's the thing, is like, they exist beyond proof.
exactly.
And that's
So-
what makes them be what they are, is that they exist beyond proof. And so it's, you know, even if this proves religiosity will have to reach past that. Spiritualism will have to reach past that, because it, in its essence, it is about what is beyond what's proven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now that we've left the realm of political crisis and entered
Into
potential existential
spirituality.
crisis,
Right?
shall we return
Now-
to political crisis? Sorry.
I do want to just live in this world of insanity for a moment longer, just because I like
That's
being
fair.
able to express how crazy I actually am. Because I have to hold it together.
You've heard me say it before. We are all the same crazy. We are just different flavors.
Fair enough. It's just, I don't think. It just feels good to acknowledge that, like, that there are a whole bunch of me in my head. All of us are insane, and I'm really, like,
No, Trevor, you are not insane. You are outsane. You're way outside the boundary.
thank you. Thank you for saying that. That, I feel seen. I feel, all of us in here feel seen.
Mm.
It's been, there's been a lot of self-reflection and internal discovery going on recently around here. So it's good to take a walk around in the mind occasionally and address what's going on. You know.
Mm.
In any case, let us move on now. Yeah. Thank you for letting me live in the insane place for a little while longer before I pull myself together and adultify again.
Mm. Fair enough. Fair enough.
What's this now? A dystopian surveillance fear has become a reality in Texas.
This is the one that I mentioned specifically that has
By Arwa
has play on our local city council.
has play on our local city council?
Okay, so a Texas cop. This is your nutshell. A Texas cop spent a month and searched over 80,000 traffic cameras across the nation looking for license plate because quote unquote they were concerned for a previously pregnant woman's safety.
Okay.
The under
Hold on. Let's
yes.
start by let us say that let's start by saying this is an opinion piece by Arwa Mahdawi.
Yes.
So this is all right. I see where we're going with this now.
Yeah.
Now, because it's abortion stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because all right. So that's what we're walking into this with. Texas's flocked up abortion laws. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Lo and Behold, the dystopia thing that women and activists warned would happen ends up happening.
Yes.
This time, the issue is automated license plate readers, which captured no prize for guessing license plate data and allowed law enforcement to build a picture of where a particular vehicle has been. There's no opting out of being tracked. There's no opting out of being tracked. If you drive, you should simply assume that these cameras, which are sometimes hidden in objects like traffic cones, are logging your movements, and you should assume that this license plate data can be combined with other surveillance data to paint a very detailed picture of your life. Privacy only exists in our billionaire overlords these days. The rest of us are just data points.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So the big issue for local that we do have those flock cameras down on the mall and other places.
Yeah. All over the place. And I do, I do assume that I'm being watched.
Yes.
But you know what though? I'm benefiting from this.
Mm-hmm.
Because this means now that in public, there's no expectation of privacy.
True.
I can run my car cam whenever I want, wherever I want. I can be catching B-roll footage of anything.
Yes. Yes, you can, and you have been.
I can be reporting on anything at any time.
As long as it's in public.
In public.
In public.
Now, this is bad because it is coupled with draconian laws around personal autonomy, especially around women's personal autonomy.
Yes. Which, while abortion, for the most part, is illegal in Texas, it's not illegal in other states.
Like Virginia.
And using 83,000 plus traffic cameras looking around the neighborhood, you can find this one person, is not okay.
No.
You can, I understand with like 17 bags of salt, if there is something that is illegal in your jurisdiction, using the traffic cameras to see and do, is it okay? No, but
I think that they should not be allowed to use to gather information across state lines without alerting the victim. I mean,
I think they shouldn't be allowed to get it across the state lines without not only alerting the victim, but alerting and requiring due process.
Right. Due process.
Because what you're doing is you're hunting across state lines to prove that this person did something that wasn't illegal there, so prosecute them when they get home.
Right.
That's not okay. That is, if you take this back a couple years, that is like looking to see who comes out of the Colorado airport who's been there for 3 days and prosecuting them for smoking.
Right.
They didn't smoke it in your state where it was legal. They were elsewhere. Or you could go back even a few more years.
Their argument is that the THC is in their system for 30 days. So if they come back and the THC is still in their system, then they've, They've transported THC into the state.
Yeah, no.
That's,
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be able to hunt outside of state lines looking for someone doing something legal just to prosecute when they get home.
right.
Um,
You only get to prosecute crimes that happen in your jurisdiction.
yes. When they are actually crimes in your jurisdiction.
Right. If something's not a crime where the person does it, then it's not a crime.
Right. A good recent example in high profile news was Alec Baldwin in the Rust trial, where when things happened, the ruling was one way. By the time they got to the trial, something had changed, and they were trying to charge him a new standard, and they got told, no, you cannot.
Right. Yes, the new standard is good because it was well needed, but you can't.
It wasn't.
You can't charge the last guy. Sorry, if you'd have changed the standard the day before.
Right. Instead of the day after. You can't charge him
Right.
for what happened the day after.
Johnny come lately.
Yeah.
Day late, dollar short.
So.
Hi, just me, Crystal. Oh.
Yep.
We've been past that a while, haven't we?
That's okay, we can still say hi. Again.
Again.
So the main upshot is that currently we don't have anything saying that they can't do this. Despite their supposed, we've been looking for a whole month just out of concern for quote unquote well-being. Honestly, if I was that person, I would never go back to that stuff again. I would ask my stuff be shipped somewhere else, like, Canada, and not come back.
I'd sue the guy for harassment.
That too. But
or
so they're
worse.
they're making
Or worse.
Stalking.
Because
isn't checking that many cameras looking for one person stalking?
Oh yeah. I mean, yes, I'd sue him for, harassment and stalking and all that sort of stuff. What I was saying is, I would probably do worse than sue.
Yes.
I got a guy for that.
Yes.
I got a guy for that. It's one of those.
Oh look, cat butt.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So their big thing, and what they're pointing out, and has been pointed out in several different articles, is that there's nothing saying they can't do this. They're pointing out the fact that if it has happened once, it will happen again. And not only in a government level, but with nothing preventing you from searching through all of these cameras, all it takes is one X in a place of power that can search all these cameras.
Yep. I'm just saying, man. Now, here's the thing. I live my life as if. And this is it. I live my life in a way that I don't feel like I have anything to hide.
Mm. Right.
I don't think it would surprise anybody to find out that I go cruising for guys,
Right.
late at night. Other than that, my life is a pretty much completely open book. That being said, I am vocally anti-establishment, especially the current establishment, which in a fascist world would make me the target of the establishment. Which would mean that myself and my loved ones would be targets of that establishment.
Yes.
It does not. I live my life openly, knowing that at any moment the establishment could turn around and come at me, saying, you're no longer allowed to say what you say, you're no longer allowed to be who you are, you're no longer allowed to do what you do. I've lived my entire life, almost entire life up to this point, being afraid of the establishment because I am countercultural no matter what. So this is not a new sense of fear to me.
No.
It is
and honestly,
a more present sense of danger than I'm used to, sort of. The fact that I'm painting a target on myself and standing up and saying, hey, pay attention to me. That's not something I did before. That's not... In the war on drugs, I did not do that. I mean, I tried not to do that. At least, I kind of... I wasn't always good at not doing that during the war on drugs, which is why I got arrested. So I wasn't good at hiding. I failed my stealth check. You know? But I'm used to not feeling safe in society. I don't think that is necessarily true for a lot of the people who are now all of a sudden not safe in society.
yes. It's not new to you.
No.
But it is new to a whole bunch more people that are suddenly realizing how...
Yeah. I've lived in a police state a lot longer than other people. You know, and that's I think that's what people don't realize as we go sort of down the ladder of oppression, is that this fascist police state has existed. It started a long time ago, and it's just sort of progressively gotten, stronger and pushed more people down. And it is. This isn't even its final form. That's the scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the final boss in their final skin after their final res.
No, no, you've got the
we are close to losing, which is scary.
Yep.
But you have people out there who are continuing to put up a fight. People like Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
People like Legal Eagle. People like Leisha Miller. People like FD Signifier. People like our local I want to find out. I'd love to find out what these guys, Wade and Pinkston, what they feel about this.
That is where the local council thing falls in. Currently, or at least as of Wednesday, they were both still, or they're on the side of, well, we want the cameras, but we haven't heard if they've got anything that they think
Due to
make it so that someone outside the jurisdiction searched.
Okay.
And the other person, I cannot remember their name. I want to say it starts with an F, but in all honesty, that's one of the areas where my memory.
Right. Well, okay.
But there is someone else on council currently, or running for council, that is against having the cameras up at all and wants them taken down. And they are currently using this particular bit of news for their campaign. So the question is, if they got elected, would they actually want cameras taken? Would they make changes? Or are they just using this to get a step up on the other people?
I don't think they'd have the cameras taken down. I really don't.
No, because the cameras are doing what they want, which is that are speeding.
And honestly, I don't think the cameras necessarily should be taken down.
Given some of the things that they do, the good things,
right?
I would agree. It's a case of it should be locked to your jurisdiction.
Right. I think it should be controlled. I think it is a very useful tool that should be controlled very wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me make a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Combine harvester.
Mm-hmm.
9mm pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Both are very useful tools.
Yes.
Both can kill somebody quickly and slowly. both can be used outside of their normal usages to get food. Both can be
Yeah.
used inside their normal usages to get food. They are very different creatures, though, right?
Right.
Should we regulate them the same?
That is a question, isn't it?
I believe so. I believe we really should. I believe so because I also believe that cars are bullets. I can make an argument that a car is a bullet and that bullets should be at least as regulated as cars. Garages should be as regulated as guns, and guns should be as regulated as cars. And that's my platform.
Mm?
Vote for Trevor, and I will make everything equally as hard to get. I will regulate
As hard to get for regulation, not as hard to get as Trump is making it, just
Right.
because of insane stupidity.
My platform is equality in all things, including regulation. And freedom. Once you close the door, you're free to do almost anything you want in that house. There are very few rules that I want to impose behind closed doors.
Fair enough.
Very, very few rules. But outside, as soon as it comes into interacting with society, there should be regulation. Now, I'm not saying that anything should be illegal. Everything just should be paid attention to.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. Oh.
Well regulated. Also, the government, the other half of what it's responsible, other than regulating things, is providing things.
You don't have to regulate where people sleep at night.
No.
Because they're homeless, if you have provided places for them to sleep or not.
Right. I mean, also, though, you
don't have to regulate a soup kitchen.
You can let them sleep outside if they want.
Yes.
You can let people have communal eating places. You know, this something I witnessed in Ithaca at the Loaves and Fishes is that it was a communal meal. It wasn't just homeless people getting a meal.
Right.
It was a chance for the community to come together and have a meal together. But because it was held in a church, there was a quick prayer, blah, blah, blah. Ugh. But they kept that down to an absolute minimum, and they didn't, require you to be Christian to be there. You just had to not, not disrupt their prayer.
Right.
Um,
Honestly, I was thinking more of like in Florida where they have made it illegal to give leftovers to people.
Right. Well, that's kind of the thing. Like, if the government provided the option, provided government housing and food as an option, like, you can live here and eat. It may not be great, and it may be sort of communal housing and communal living,
right?
But it will be more than just meeting your basic needs. It will be, not only will it meet your basic needs, it will be a sense of community. You can have a sense of purpose and belonging. These sort of more nebulous human needs / desires. The government provides an option.
All right. I'm putting on my early childhood hat. It would meet all of the basic needs. If they would do something like that, it would meet all of the basic needs, which include shelter, food, and social emotional support, which is not nebulous. That's actually a basic need.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
But this is my platform. This is what the government should provide. And education is in that. There's a public option for education. A basic standard. And that education, with this school choice, school vouchers, it's sucking general funding out of certain public schools, leaving certain almost completely black public schools without the money, not to staff
the lights on,
but not just that, but like to even give the kids any sense of encouragement, like that there's anything else out there after school. I joke about Louisa County and Orange County providing the fast food and convenience store workers of the area. But that's not really a joke. That's what these schools are preparing these kids to do. They have no ambition past existing.
They have no energy to have ambition past existing.
Because there are no resources allotted to them. They are not amongst the chosen rich who have the resources allotted to them to become the next oligarchy.
In other words, school systems are set up currently to function very much like the different areas from the Hunger Games.
Very much so. Which is really terrifying because it's very different from how it was when I went to school. When I went to school, there was actual hope.
It's yeah.
There was actual social mobility. There was possibility. There was it is it's disturbing. It's disturbing to see where we are, but you know what? That's just it. A vote for Trevor is a vote for a future you can remember.
Fair enough. Would you like to go on to the last one and end on some funny?
Yes, please, let's take it out on a high note.
The very last one.
High note. Sorry.
As the cloud of smoke envelops your head.
Well, I was about to say, pretty much any note coming from you is likely to be a high note.
Yes.
Even though I sing baritone. Historical events on June 14th.
Now, June 14th, there's supposed to be a scheduled parade, party, whatever.
June 14th.
For the... Huh?
Today is May 31st.
Yes.
Right. June 14th is... Oh.
It is scheduled to be the big celebration for the Cheeto.
Right.
Various organizations across the country are planning protests on that day to take viewing attention away from that turnout.
Right.
Our own local Indivisible planning for that day, as well as indivisible groups across. I have heard supposedly that our new, the new Pope Leo is planning on his first speech in the U.S. as Pope. I want to say he's going to be in Chicago, and it's supposed to be broadcast in Chicago at that time. Watch.
Okay.
Specifically during the time of the parade.
All right.
And various things. So
that is why June 14th is on our radar. These are other historical events that happened on Tangerine Cheeto Tacos, whatever.
Just on June 14th around the world.
Around the world.
Yes.
Around the world, around the world.
Feel free to scroll and cherry pick since we know which one the Peanut Gallery specifically sent us for.
We're going to start here with the royal coronation at 1170. Henry, the young king, is crowned at age 15 at Westminster Abbey during the lifetime of his father, Henry II, in an attempt to settle his succession.
Mm-hmm.
There was a peasants' revolt in 1381.
Yes. I
Dick
appreciate
II.
that. Yeah.
Second Dick.
Yep.
Oh, 1565, Carthena de' Medici. Katharina de' Medici, Duke of Alva discusses, and Duke
Calvinism.
of Alva discuss Calvinism. Okay, whatever.
Yes. Calvinism. Fun.
Yay!
1623. First breach of promise lawsuit. Reverend Jervil Pooley, Virginia files against Cicely Jordan, and he loses. Sorry.
That's pretty cool. In 1634, Russia and Poland signed peace treaty of Polanov.
Yep.
You know, as they walked away, they said, "Hey, I think we've pulling off."
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a particularly poignant one for June. Yes?
Yeah, 1642. First compulsory education law in America passed by Massachusetts. Now, as I was discussing earlier, a vote for Trevor is a vote for education. A vote for Trevor is a vote for independent education.
Scroll down to the
Highly
vote one.
funded independent education.
$17.89.
Ooh, wait. The Battle of Naseby, Lancashire. Cromwell and Thomas Fairfax defeat the royalist forces of Chucky the First. I should be nice. I believe he's a Stuart. I believe Charles the First is a Stuart, so he's one of mine. And that's the thing, like, you know, it really. Okay. So we're gonna dig into some stuff here. We are. My father, who, you know, I don't talk about a lot because it's complicated. He had some very anti-Catholic has some very anti-Catholic views. You know, now I get it because there are plenty of times that the papacy has hunted my people and killed me and mine. However, the C of E isn't any better. Puritans, Cromwell, Calvinists, certainly aren't any nicer to me and mine. They've killed and burned me plenty too.
Mm-hmm.
So my father used to, when we would talk about being related to Mary Queen of Scots, Mary Stuart, and the royal Stuarts, he'd hiss through clenched teeth, "She's a papist." I mean, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That distinction, I feel like, I don't think that distinction means to you what that distinction means to me.
No, I
And
don't
I
think so.
think part of why I'm not terribly hateful of the fact that she's a papist is because when it's come back around, you know, Catholics have been way cooler to me recently. They are way less interested in killing and burning my kind, and way more interested in keeping themselves from being killed and burnt by the more extreme of their kind. So all of a sudden, ever since the Reformation, ever since the schism and the Reformation and all of that, Catholics have had a much more sympathetic view on people like me. They're like, "Oh my God, this is what it was like to be you. Oh, I am so sorry. Oops. Oops. Our bad. Our bad. So sorry. So sorry. 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 Oh, Catholic guilt, Catholic guilt, Catholic guilt." So,
That sounds about right.
So when my father would hiss through clenched teeth about her being a papist, I think he missed that papism is a good thing at this point. Like, the Catholics, not so bad about now, are they? Like, now, and of course, I need to make a distinction very quickly. Not all Christians, you know?
No.
These are some very extreme people. The people who were fighting each other over minor differences in liturgy, and what they were really
Ones that
fighting
were fighting over
over.
whether you said the Lord's Prayer before you did this action or after. And that's what caused their main fight.
Oh, well, also, it was power. It was for power. It was for power. It was for the ability to divorce. It was for some of it was because there was corruption in the Catholic Church. All of this is church crap, not God stuff. Make sense?
Yeah.
Church
no,
crap,
that's-
not God stuff.
Exactly. Please see the Grock comment about Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Exactly.
Those that are actively practicing their belief in active ways versus those that are preaching a belief and acting in ways that are contrary to what they are preaching.
Correct. All right, so now that we've ambled down my deep lore.
Yes. So yes, no, scroll down to the pirate ship.
Oh, hey. 1658, the Battle of the Dunes. English and French forces defeat Spanish near Dunkirk during Franco-Spanish War.
Yep.
You know, the French would later... yeah. The French and the English at Dunkirk would also later become a thing.
Oh yeah.
Just a different day.
Oh yeah.
I still don't think... Oh.
Yeah.
1690. King William III's army lands at Carrickfergus in Ireland. Poor Ireland.
Yes.
1775. U.S. Army first forms as the Continental Army to fight the American Revolutionary War. Let me actually do a good fanfare there for that. (1777) Stars and Stripes flag adopted. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Mutiny on the Bounty. William Bligh and his loyal men cast off from HMS Bounty to reach Timor after sailing 5,800 kilometers in a 6-meter launch.
So, you know, we've got a history of mutinies happening on
Mutiny on the Bounty. (1797) Napoleon forms the Ligurian Republic. Ligurian Republic.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't care about those.
I don't know. The surrendering of a throne on June 14th is also kind of nice.
Oh, the 1821?
Yeah.
That is interesting. 1821, King of Sennar, Badi the Seventh, surrenders his throne and realm to General Ismail Pasha of the Ottoman Empire, bringing the 300-year-old Sudanese kingdom to an end.
Mm.
That is interesting. I would have been interested. I thought it was more British history. I thought it was more Napoleon. And I was like, eh.
Yeah, I know.
But no, that is actually interesting stuff. Babbage's difference engine?
Yeah.
In 1822, Charles Babbage proposes a difference engine in a paper to the Royal Astronomical Society entitled Note on the Application of Machinery to the Computation of Astronomical and Mathematical Tables.
Yeah.
Adding machine.
Mm-hmm.
A basic calculator. Isn't that?
I believe so. Yep. Yep. It was an automatic mechanical calculator.
1847, Robert Bunsen invents the Bunsen burner.
And solidified himself as a Muppet in history.
Ooh, 1841, first Canadian Parliament opens in Kingston, Ontario.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
(1872) trade unions legalized in Canada.
So wait, what are we looking for here?
I just scrolled down to 1872, so that was just me because I'd been reading other stuff earlier.
No, but we were supposed to be looking for something specific.
Oh, we're specifically looking for, was it 1934? We're getting there.
Okay.
Yes, we're looking specifically for 1934.
1913 funeral for Emily Davidson includes a procession of 6,000 suffragettes in London, England.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
1913 Immigration Act. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that. Representatives of 8 allied nations hold economic conference. First German air attack on England. Ooh, 1917. That would be First World War.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Pershing arrived in Paris. (1922) first president heard on the radio, Warren G. Harding.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty big.
It is.
Herbert sorry.
They nominated the vacuum cleaner salesman.
Herbert Hoover nominated for president. Whoa. Prussia and Vatican signed Concord in 1929.
Mm-hmm.
Heydrich meets Himmler. And Trevor does not repeat the awful, awful joke that ran through his head just there.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd have known you were coming, I'd have baked you in.
Mm-hmm.
Franz von Papen government.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Gehrig and McCarthy thrown out. Lou Gehrig and Joe McCarthy thrown out of game. McCarthy suspended 3 games, but Lou Gehrig isn't, so he continues his streak. Jumpin' Joe McCarthy. No, Jumpin' Joe...
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Bearco's Carnera.
There you go. There's the one we were looking for.
Hitler meets Mussolini. And again, mein Führer, if I'd have known you were coming, I'd have baked you on.
Mm-hmm. And as the Peanut Gallery said earlier.
Oh, you mean Trump's actual birthday?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is...
It's like only 12 years before when he says he was born.
You, hold on. Spell this out for listeners. I cannot react like I am surprised by this, but like all of a sudden I remember what it was about. So let's just go ahead and spell this out for listeners. All right, so this day, why we are looking at things that happened on June 14th is because we're having an upcoming military parade.
On the Cheeto's birthday.
On the Chief Cheeto's birthday. Because the Chief Cheeto... because.
Yeah.
Now, Chief Cheeto says he was born June 14th, 1946. Right?
Yes.
But we're claiming he was actually conceived on June 14th, 1934.
I mean, other people in that time frame have lied about the certificate. I mean, we don't actually have any military records saying that he was
12 years. They meet for the first time. Now, wait. Whoa. All we're saying is that this is the start of the bromance.
This is true.
He may not be 12 years older. He may be his age. But Hitler and Mussolini meet.
Still had a love child.
Maybe have a little Italian wine. Maybe have a little German ice wine. Maybe have a little this. Maybe have a little that. Maybe have a little fun.
Ooh.
When did the Mussolini die? That is a question, though. Because the thought is that it is quite possible that Mussolini was the one who carried the child. Although, there are theories that that Hitler made it to Argentina safe and sound. On this day in 1940, Auschwitz camp opens.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What? What a day to celebrate. Ah.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank begins her diary.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. What did we say the year was that he was born?
46?
40. Did we say 46?
Oh, because if 34
12.
is
34 plus 12.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, 46. Because 42 would have been hilarious. First bazooka rocket
42 is
gun
still
drop.
hilarious.
And Frank begins her diary on the same day that the first bazooka rocket gun was produced. De Gaulle returns to France in 44.
Mm.
The Christmas song. Nat King Cole records the Christmas song. It was written by Mel Torme and Bob Wells. Wow, Mel Torme.
Mm.
You know, does anybody else like Mel Torme only because of Night Court?
Thought of it.
I appreciate him because of it, yes.
I'm not fond of the crooners. I'm not fond of that generation of singers. I'm not fond of even Nat King Cole. You know, I'm not fond of that style of music. Yeah, it's too slow and sugary for me or something. I don't know. Too saccharine, too treacly.
Yeah.
But because of Judge Harry and Night Court,
Mm-hmm.
Mel Torme.
Yep.
Well, that's the day. Jeez. You feel good about yourself, Nat King Cole? I don't suppose it's really fair to blame him.
No.
State of Vietnam formed.
Mm-hmm.
Spawn.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Spawn. Okay, that's interesting. I've always wondered where where the name Spawn came from. Like, why is Spawn Ranch that?
Maybe from this baseball player?
Right? So, just another link up that chain.
Yep.
General strike in Tunisia.
Mm-hmm.
Eisenhower condemns McCarthy. Elvis graduates.
I'm waiting for you to get to 1976.
1970 what? Uh,
76, not 67.
no, but this is interesting.
Yeah.
Reagan, California governor at the time, signs the Therapeutic Abortion Act, legalizing abortions in the state under certain circumstances. Before he ruined everything.
Yeah.
Huh. '73. All right. Nolan Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
I have some Nolan Ryan cards somewhere. 1976 Gong Show premieres on TV. USSR launches Verona 10, Venus for landing in 75. Why did you want me to get to the Gong Show?
Because I know enough about that show to compare it to some of the really, really inane.
Some of the really
Like,
inane...
that's it.
What?
Sorry, say again?
What were you saying? You dropped out there.
I know, I haven't watched much of it, but I know enough of that show. To know that there were things constantly happening that made what? With the distraction of the big gong in the background.
Okay.
It was like, yeah, that makes sense. That would start on this day and go along with our political climate. Look over here, bang! Look over there, bang!
Okay. That does track. I mean, I get that. I never watched The Gong Show. I don't even know what it's about.
Basically, it's like a bunch of all right, think of like America's Got Talent. Or The Voice, only somehow
Star
both
Search.
kinder and more rude. Kind of like that, but also kinder and more rude at the same time, because instead of just getting a buzzer with a light, you're getting this ginormous gong that the judge has to actually to hit.
Has to actually what to hit?
Get up and walk across the stage to hit, to stop you.
Aha. Okay.
You know, with commentary on, this was so bad, whatever rude reason. But there was definitely a whole lot of, we were watching the three dogs juggling over here, and all of a sudden we have got this loud noise that we look at, and we look back, the stage has changed.
Aha.
And now it's someone getting ready to yodel. Perhaps yodel about chickens that are attacking. Falkland.
I feel like
You're fine.
feel like the possibility that Trump is the love child of Hitler and Mussolini
Yeah.
just feels so on the nose right that it's just kind of like,
I mean, that's why we're ending this today's show with this, even if we're scrolling through and seeing what else happened.
yup.
Like, Zsa Zsa Gabor getting arrested for slapping a patrolman.
Well, all right, friends. I think we have gone as far as we can go.
Actually, no. We need to go all the way down to 90 event of interest because I think that's the one we should do.
Which
Instead
one?
of 93.
93.
Scroll down until you see Clinton.
Oh, Nolan Ryan. Again. I've got some Nolan Ryan cards.
I hear you.
Ronald Reagan is knighted. Ugh.
Yeah.
Zsa Zsa Gabor arrested. Okay. Wasn't one of the Gabors married to Trump at one point?
Potentially.
Ugh. 91 Robin Hood Prince of Thieves opens, directed by Kevin Reynolds, starring Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. I like that movie.
That was it was cute.
Yes.
Man, I was never a member of the Kevin Costner cult. The Costner cult.
That's fair.
I liked him. I really liked him, but I could see where he just hit his, he wasn't always the best guy for the role.
True.
And I really felt like he was one of the weakest links in Robin Hood. I felt like, yeah. Yeah, he just did it. Great movie. He was not the strong point. I think for me, his highest career moment was Field of Dreams, and his strongest acting moment was Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's how I feel about Kevin Costner.
Of that Robin Hood movie, Alan Rickman.
Yes.
Oh, Morgan Freeman in there was kind of fun, but Alan Rickman showing in the scene to me.
Ooh, 93. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is introduced by President Bill Clinton as his nominee to the United States Supreme Court in a Rose Garden ceremony.
There you go. That's when you end on.
That is a good one. Well, something good happened on this day, on that day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're going to end it. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Much love. Stick around for the raid. Thank you guys for being here. Cat and Peanut Gallery, thank you. Just Me Crystal, thank you for being here in the chat. And Chris into 386, thank you both for being here and hanging out. All you lurkers, much love. And now is the time on the show when I say, as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces. We're out, y'all.
Is a sign of the way our norms have changed.
So the day after you were fired, the president was in the Oval Office meeting with the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, and the Russian ambassador to the U.S., Kislyak, and he told them, I just fired the head of the FBI. He was crazy, a real nut job. I face great pressure because of Russia. That's taken a lot of heat off. I'm not under investigation. Do you think that saying that to the Russians was a violation of any law?
I don't know. It only through news accounts, and if the news accounts are accurate, it's frankly shocking. It's shocking that there weren't other Americans in the Oval Office with the Russians and the president, but that's about all the vantage point I have on it.
Take us into the room with you when you're meeting with President Trump. Let's choose the time that he invited you to dinner. You'd hoped others would be there, but you see the table set just for two. It's just the two of you. He starts by complimenting you and then goes into this stream of consciousness monologue. You say he spoke in torrents. Give us a sense of what he was saying.
Well, yeah, that's a dinner from January the 27th, which was a Friday, at the end of his first full week as president. And my assistant called and said the president was calling for me. And he called and said, do you want to come over for dinner tonight? And I said, certainly, sir. It's up to you. And he said, how's 6 or 6:30? And then he fixed on 6:30. And I said, certainly, sir. And I went that evening to the White House. I was very concerned after that phone call because it's an extraordinary thing for the President of the United States to socialize alone with the director of the FBI, given the way in which the FBI and our entire country has tried to keep that organization separate from the presidential power and politics since Watergate. So I was very nervous about it. Was reassured, though, when I saw Jim Clapper, the director of national intelligence, later that day, who assured me there must be others at the dinner. So I thought it would be a group dinner, probably with other leaders, or the president just trying to get to know people. I show up at the White House and stand in the doorway to the green room, just chatting with 2 Navy stewards. And I look into the green room, and the furniture's all been moved off to the sides, and there's a small oval table in the center with just 2 place settings. And I can see from my vantage point that the one closest to me says Director Comey. So suddenly I know it's a one-on-one, which was very concerning because of the norm that I described. The president arrives, we sit down, and he makes very clear right at the beginning that the purpose of this is for me, in essence, to ask for my job, which was bizarre because he had several times in previous conversations over the prior 3 weeks said he hoped I was going to stay and really looked forward to working with me. None of that was acknowledged, and the conversation begins with him saying, in substance, so what do you want to do? Meaning, do you want to stay as FBI director? And then he moved through the salad and then shrimp scampi to asking me for an explicit pledge of loyalty, which was extraordinary and deeply troubling.
Describe how he asked you for the pledge of loyalty.
He looked at me and said, just that, I need loyalty, I expect loyalty, and I just looked at him, and I didn't blink, and I didn't move. There was a little voice inside my head ordering me, don't you move, don't you say anything, don't you give any signal, because I was stunned by what he was asking and didn't want to give him any indication of assent. Again, I'm the director of the FBI. That's an organization that is in the executive branch, but must always be, in a way, apart from the executive branch, because we have to investigate executive branch officials. We often have to investigate a White House. And so the distance is at the core of the FBI's credibility. And here's the president asking me for personal loyalty. And so I just stared at him, and he stared at me. It seemed like forever. It was probably 2 seconds. And then he looked back down at his food, and the conversation moved on. But he surely noticed that I hadn't answered or even moved, because he came back to it near the end of the conversation.
And he asked for your loyalty again. And how did it end?
He came back to loyalty again and said, I need loyalty. And I paused and I said, I will always be honest with you. And he said, after a pause, that's what I want, honest loyalty. And I paused, desperately looking for a way to get out of this incredibly awkward conversation. I said, you'll get that from me. Knowing what I meant and believing that given the conversation that had happened since we started the meal, he understood what I meant by that, and then we were out of that particular part of the conversation.
That's one example of the times that you compare the president's behavior to the mafia. And you're familiar with the mafia because you prosecuted them when you worked in the New York office. So usually with the mafia, there's transactional relationships. You know, I'm going to give you this. I expect something in return. I expect your loyalty. But beneath all of that is a threat. Like, if you don't give me your loyalty, or if in spite of all my compliments to you, you betray me in some way.